Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today we're going to be going over all the crowdfunding campaigns for December. I mean, we're not actually going to do that. In fact, I don't even know what this video is titled yet. Normally, this time of month, the last 2 days of the month, or sometimes the first day of the next month, depending on scheduling, I put up a video of the upcoming crowdfunding campaigns for that month. But December is, well, mostly lame. At least so far, from what I can see so far. Things might change. In general, things might change. But for right now, I'm not seeing enough crowdfunding campaigns to have a decent video. And so instead, we're going to do a whole bunch of crowdfunding campaigns coming to you in 2023. Granted, some of these will probably launch in December, but we'll figure that out. In any case, just as a general reminder before we dive into it, because I just mentioned things will change, make sure to subscribe to Shelf Clutter. I'll have a link down below to Shelf Clutter. He covers these on a weekly basis. So if you want to see all the things that are coming up in any single given month, all the changes, all the campaigns that are worth paying attention to, all the things that inevitably did decide to launch in December, but did not decide to put them on any content creators list. Fun fact, if you're a publisher, you can go ahead and, let Shelf Clutter know. There's a link down below in this video. You can go ahead and submit your game, and then people will know it exists. Those are always fun things to do to, have people actually show up on day one. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and continue this video by diving into the campaigns for 2023. This is an assortment of around, just trying to eyeball my tabs over here, around 25 to 30 different games in 2023. This is by no means a comprehensive list. There are so many more campaigns, some that I don't know about, many that I don't know about, and some that I do know about that we won't heavily be going into because I need to make this a reasonable length. This is going to be the campaigns that I'm just more interested in talking about. That's what it is. It's the campaigns in 2023 that I currently know about, that I'm more interested in talking about, and depending on whether we have enough campaigns in January, maybe we'll do this again at the end of the month for another full-on, crowdfunding campaigns in 2023. As usual, timestamps and links down below. Most of these are going to be actual links to a Kickstarter, GameFound, BackerKit, where you can go ahead and follow the project. There's going to be a few of these that are Board Game Geek pages, and we'll go ahead and start off with that, starting with Andromeda's Edge over on GameFound. Cardboard Alchemy is bringing Andromeda's Edge. This is from Luke Laurie. This is a spiritual successor to Dwellings of Eldervale. By the way, as I go through this video, I'll have more information on some, less information on others. A lot of these are so far out that I didn't bother heavily looking into them past, ooh, that's a pretty cover, and it says a few words that I like, so we'll do that. But Andromeda's Edge, this one I do know about. This one I've had a chance to dive into and play. This is the follow-up to Dwellings of Eldervale, bringing that same core gameplay to the table, but with a different theme and changes to the actual gameplay, to the structure. Lots of fun things. And I'm not the go-to opinion of this one, because my opinion of Dwellings of Eldervale is that it's good. I like it. Did not love it. Most people seem to love it, so take me in the minority there. But having played both those games, I will say I prefer Andromeda's Edge. I think it gives you more interesting tableau building and some more combat mitigation, and the combination of which make it, to me, a better version of Dwellings of Eldervale. It still has enough things about Dwelling that I'm not in love with it so much as I do very much enjoy it and like it. But that's Andromeda's Edge. This is going to be coming over on GameFound, and yeah, should do well. We have 11,000 people following the project right now, and this is Dwellings of Eldervale, more hype, more stuff, more miniatures, more all the fun things. From there, we're going to move on to Nova Roma. This is one that I know far less about, and yet I'm definitely more excited about. We only have 861 followers on the campaign so far. This is coming to you from Stan Kodansky. Stan Kodansky is the designer of Endless Winter, the designer of Lockup, the designer of Dice Hospital, the designer of Rurik, one of the best freaking games of all time, for the record, the designer of Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, the designer of a new Valeria game that's coming out from the same company that makes those Second Gate games. Is that no? Maybe no. What's the name of the? I'm gonna go Daily Magic games. That's the one. The designer of what am I missing? The designer of a bunch of other games. Oh, Resurgence, the designer of Resurgence, brought to you under his own company, Half a Kingdom Games. Speaking of which, this is brought to you from Half a Kingdom Games, art by the Micho, but in a very nice style that doesn't look like the typical Micho's artwork, which I love it when that happens. It manages to incorporate the art style I like while still feeling different. This is Nova Roma. Looks very cool. Don't know anything about it. What I do know is Stan Kodansky is utter gold when it comes to his game designs. I mean, I think the only one I haven't loved and kept, I think, is Dice Hospital. Most of them I just really enjoy. Solid games. Very much looking forward to this one. From there we have Transhumanity. This is from Mind Clash Games, and I don't know enough about this one. What I do know is come on, have you seen this cover? Look at this. Look at that. Does that not Transhumanity? I don't know what's going on here, but between the combination of the publisher Mind Clash and whatever this is, granted, art does not a good game make, that is absolutely true, but art does a good game capture my attention, and so we'll talk more about it. Will I be interested in it? Will I love it? I don't know. We'll find out, but it definitely captures my attention. Additionally, we have Lords of Vegas Americana. This is a 6-player base set, plus the Americana expansion to Lords of Vegas. Lords of Vegas is one of the first games I had in my collection, way back in the day. Not the first, but I remember this is one of the first games I ever played at my game group. For a long time, for 6 years, I had a consistent every single night game group for a long time, for a really long time, and then COVID happened, and content creation happened, and now I have an inconsistent Thursday night game group. But Lords of Vegas is a delightful experience, solid game. I really enjoyed it when I played it back in the day, and it's one of those games that I always come back to, and I'm curious about it, whether I will or won't end up getting this one, because I love it. The concept of the strip, the concept of the dice mitigation of taking over the various territories, a degree of area control and luck and thrown in a game that manages to feel strategic and yet capture the feeling of Vegas at the same time. This absolutely had that aspect of bet high, go big or go home in the game. Solid game, and this is the American expansion that I know nothing about, but it's going to be on Kickstarter at some point. We also have the Galactic Renaissance. The Galactic Renaissance from Monaco Games. This, if you are already tuned out by the boring words Galactic Renaissance, which I would be, it's brought to you from the designers of Inish. This is brought to you from the designers of Inish, the publisher of Inish. Inish is one of the best games of all time. I know I said that about Rurik, but Inish is even better than Rurik, and they're both fantastic. And Inish is really, really, really solid game. I highly recommend it. It's just such a good game to take a look at. It's from the Matago trilogy of Kemet, Cyclades, and Inish, and to me, Inish is my favorite one in the trilogy, although Cyclades is amazing too, and so is Kemet for that matter. But either way, this is a Galactic Renaissance coming to you with more gameplay from the same designers. Do I know more than that? No, I don't know more than that. If you capture my attention with, say, the publisher and designer of Inish, yes, you do. I believe this one will be on Kickstarter, but we'll see. From there we have Rove. Rove from Addicts Games. This one is basically brought to you from the same publisher, not the same publisher, the same designer as Crimson Scales. Crimson Scales is a giant fan-made expansion for Gloomhaven. Did tremendously well without even running it on crowdfunding at all. They just kind of took their own pre-orders. They've had 2 print runs. It's this giant big box expansion, it's like behind me over here, but this giant big box expansion for Gloomhaven, bringing you 14 more classes, like 65 new scenarios, more Gloomhaven content, a lot of fun, cool stuff to dive into, very worth paying attention to. But aside from that, the designer decided to also make his own company and board game, and at which point we currently have Rove from Addicts Games. This is going to capture a lot of the same things you loved about Gloomhaven, while also being different enough in many ways to stand out on its own, in terms of like the way the card systems are going to work. Instead of, having double top and bottom halves, you're going to have cards that flip as you use them, so you're trying to line up the perfect sequences of flipped cards. You're going to have automatic actions built in, so you have some degree of preset actions and some degree of card-driven actions. It's going to capture a lot of the feeling of Gloomhaven. If you like Gloomhaven, it's going to have a lot of that stuff in there. But if you also want to see things different, this is going to have a lot of that in there. The class branching, the way they have classes that are going to iterate and upgrade into different classes, kind of similar to Adventure Tactics, Adventures in Alchemy, is that what it's called? Something tactics, I think called Adventure Tactics, similar to the way that system worked, but in a much more, high-level game in terms of what it's doing. That's going to be Rove, coming to Kickstarter early 2023. We have DANTE, The Invasion of Hell by Creative Game Studios, CGE, same people who brought us Chronicles of Drunagar. I know nothing about this game. I mean, it has cool miniatures. It's coming from a publisher I like and from who've made games that I like. That's where my knowledge kind of caps out on this one. But it looks cool. The art looks cool. The theme looks cool. And it's brought to you from CGS, which makes me already very interested in this one. We'll talk more about it when I actually have more information, but that's all I have for right now. Launching on GameFound early 2023, or I should say 2023. I don't actually know if it's early or not. From there, moving on, we have FLOE from Pika Games. Designed by Henry Audubon, which already has me interested because that's the designer of Parks, which is a game that I love. And combined with the fact that Pika Games is effectively the family-friendly version of Fantasia Games. Fantasia Games launched their own separate publisher line, Pika Games, which is bringing you slightly more family-friendly game design. I don't know much about the actual gameplay of this one, but the combination of the publisher and the designer, I mean, look at the art too. The art as well. Art by Andrew Bosley. Fantasia Games in general has been knocking it out of the park. They've been bringing, solid publishers, solid art, solid everything to the table, and just capturing your attention in different ways. This looks adorable. I don't know anything about this game. I want this game already. And yeah, Fantasia Games, between Unconscious Mind and Endless Winter, they are firmly entrenched as a publisher that I will pay attention to everything they put out. At least for now. Well, I mean, time can tell, but for right now, definitely has been interested in FLOE from Fantasia Games. I don't know, I assume it's coming to Kickstarter just because that's where they've run their last 2 campaigns, but we'll find out. Moving on, we have Season 4 Sleeve Kings. This is not a game. This is not a game, but it's something that I do want to bring up because I always, whenever I talk about games, whenever I have games on my table, whenever I have sleeve games on my table, I frequently get asked what sleeves I use, and the answer is always Sleeve Kings. I do not get a cut, I do not get a commission, I just use their sleeves. I found that I used to use Mayday sleeves back in the day, and Mayday sleeves I found to be very affordable, but also they got a little sticky over time. I didn't really love the quality of them, and then that same company, the same people behind the company, launched Sleeve Kings, a more premium brand, which is a nice mix between the full-on premium that's 100 microns thick and costs you way too much, versus Sleeve Kings. They cost the same price as Sleeve Kings. They give you 110 sleeves per pack. They give you a very solid price point, as well as 60 microns thick, which is just that extra degree nicer. It's not so thick that the pile is falling over, but it's thick enough that they feel premium and they hold up. And so overall, Sleeve Kings has become my go-to brand. I am worried for the day that I one day decide to upgrade to a 100 micron thickness, and it's worth noting Sleeve Kings does have that. They've actually I believe Fantasy Flight sleeves used to do like sleeves, and they went out of business or something like that. Not Fantasy Flight, the sleeve stuff, they stopped making them. I believe Sleeve Kings took over making the same size match and same thickness and all that, so they do have a more premium line of sleeves. Personally, I use the 60 micron one. Again, for right now, I find it gives you not too thick, very affordable and all that, but they're going to be running a campaign over on GameFound at some point. They've done a bunch of these Kickstarter campaigns. It's a great opportunity to get a ton of sleeves for a ton of games. You can use a variety of websites to figure out what you need, or you can just get a variety of the common sizes, then order whatever else you need when you run out or when you need extras. That's what I did. I placed like a $500 order like 3 years ago, and for the most part, I still have sleeves left over. There's a few ones I need to replenish, which is why I'm very excited about this one. So here we go. Here's the Fantasy Flight line of replacement sleeves. But yeah, they have I need to go ahead and order some more to replenish some of the more basic size, like those basic 63 by 88s. I bought the most of those because it's one of the more common sizes, and yet I ran out of it. I didn't get everything here. I probably got like 7 or 8 common sizes. The rest I order as needed, and it saves me a ton compared to buying it directly from Sleeve Kings after the fact. Getting it on GameFound will help you save a lot of money there. Moving on, we have Wild Gardens. Wild Gardens from Rose Gauntlet Entertainment. This one I don't know a ton about. I just know about the fact I think it's launching on BackerKit, I believe. But this is one that I'm very interested in primarily because I've been playing Keystone North America, which I played the original prototype of Keystone North America. I've also been playing it since it arrived, and I've been really continuing to enjoy both the regular and the solo mode of Keystone North America. And Rose Gauntlet Entertainment, that's their only game, and so I'm intrigued. This is a foraging game. You're gonna be wandering around foraging in different ways. The art looks great, and the concept seems like it's got the same theme or laid back or nature vibe as Keystone North America. Very different game system. No idea if it's going to be a game for me or not. I have no idea. I can't comment on that. The only thing I can say is they have my attention because the one game they did make I've really enjoyed. Then we have, over on Kickstarter, we have Daimyo Battle for Japan from Stone Sword Games. This is designed by Martin Wallace, I believe. It's a Martin Wallace game set in the Sengoku Jidai. I'm probably butchering that, I apologize. But a Martin Wallace game combined with the publisher Stone Sword Games. That already has me interested. Stone Sword in general has been doing a bunch of solid games recently, and this is combined one of my favorite publishers with them, and that definitely has me interested. We have 3,200 people already following the campaign. Should be launching sometime in 2023. I know nothing about the gameplay, past the fact that it's like a historical 4X game or whatnot. I'm intrigued. Again, the designer and the publisher has me intrigued. The 6-player count has me scared. The 120 minutes, if it's accurate, compelled, but it also says 1 to 6 players and 120 plus minutes, so we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Anyways, moving on, we have Bloodstone. This is what I've been talking about for a long time. From Druid City Games, this is going to be their relaunch campaign. That's totally happening at some point. It's happening at some point. It's supposed to happen in 2021 originally, I want to say. Was it 2021 or was it early 2022? I don't remember, but Bloodstone canceled a long time ago, and since then it keeps being pushed off, and I want this game to launch already. I really enjoyed it when it was on Kick. Well, I really enjoyed it when I played the prototype, and I'm very much looking forward to this one relaunching, giving you just solid skirmish game with powers, with abilities, with multiple ways to play, with cooperative mode, with head-to-head. It's not your highest strategy game. It is very compelling and simply fun. It was just a lot of fun to play through this game. I really enjoyed this one, and I'm very much looking forward to actually having a chance to actually own this and have it in my collection when eventually this one does relaunch. Then we have Dying Light. This is one we'd have neither BGG nor BackerKit or Crowdfunding or GameFound or Kickstarter or any of that. Rather, we have Dying Light, just the website, Dicebreaker. Dicebreaker talking about Dying Light over here. Dying Light's going to be coming to you from Glass Cannon and Techland. Techland being the publisher of Dying Light, the video game, and Glass Cannon being the publisher who brought you Frostpunk most recently. But they've been coming to you with Dying Light, the board game. We don't have a lot of information about the actual gameplay past that. Very intrigued just because of the publisher combined with, the IP and what they're going to do, how they're going to incorporate the gameplay style of the video game into a tabletop game. Very curious, very intrigued. Art looks great, so they're already knocking out the first thing that's important, and we'll see whether the gameplay follows or not, but this is Dying Light from Glass Cannon Unplugged. There is Street Fighter V Champion Edition. There's Street Fighter V Champion Editions Legends from Colossal Games. Colossal Games kind of weirdly in association with Blacklist Games. They're kind of taking over the handling of the project. This is going to be over on GameFound. We have 2,500 people following it so far, and this is bringing you Street Fighter V. It's bringing you Street Fighter V, the IP, miniature heavy skirmish game, and well, not really skirmish game, a little skirmish game. It's more of a, it's a cooperative experience, so I guess more of a dungeon crawl, I should say. It's a cooperative experience where you're going to have your Street Fighter, you're going to be wandering around, fighting off the baddies, having them spawn, trying to accomplish your mission objectives, rolling dice, leveling up, activating your powers and abilities. Had a chance to play this on Tabletop Simulator, briefly, just the first mission. Really enjoyed the one mission that I played, and I'm very much looking forward to diving into it properly to be able to cover this game. Then over on Kickstarter, we have Among Cultists, coming to you from Godot Games. I almost said Godot Games, I'm sorry. We have Among Cultists, a social seduction board game thriller. Godot Games have brought a bunch of games to your table. I think the last one was Human Punishment, if I'm not mistaken. Human Punishment, the board game version, I don't remember exactly. But they've brought a bunch of games to the table, generally been well received, generally well reviewed. Among Cultists is going to be another social seduction for 4-day players. Very intrigued in just the art and am the publisher offhand. Personally, I have a harder time getting these kinds of games to the table, which is where I'm kind of in the fence. I'm interested, but also uncertain whether it's the kind of thing that would ever hit the table for me. But just being the publisher that they are and what they've done so far, definitely interested in this one. Then we have Taboo presents the Bad Karmas. Taboo, actually that's the last game. Taboo posted an announcement, this is just today, right before I was doing this video. Taboo posted an announcement that they're going to have Vampire Milan Uprising. This is going to be coming to crowdfunding at some point. This is going to be the Vampire the Masquerade, bringing you Milan Uprising, a game set in the Vampire the Masquerade universe, but also brought to you with the Taboo system. I've been very compelled about that aspect, that combination of worlds, and the way Taboo is going to bring their electronics tabletop media aspect to the table with whatever they're going to mix around in order to give you a solid experience in different ways. Very intrigued by this one. Also compelled by they're going to be bringing you Sword and Sorcery. Speaking of which, I believe Sword and Sorcery is also having a campaign in 2023 at some point, but they're going to have a Taboo Sword and Sorcery campaign at some point. Don't know if 2023 or not, but we'll see. And I do hope, I don't know what the actual story is or not, but like, I know Taboo originally announced that they're going to be doing a Zombicide game. I still hope to see that one day. Don't even know if it's the kind of thing I end up keeping or not, but I'm definitely compelled by what they showed back then as a promise of, as a proof of concept. Seemed very intriguing, and I hope that does work out at some point. From there, we have Scholars of the South Tigris. This is going to be the next Garphill Games title in the South Tigris line. They have Wayfarers of the South Tigris, which just started to deliver, and they're going to have Scholars of the South Tigris coming to you at some point in 2023. Again, Garphill Games in general puts out consistently well-liked games, just consistently again and again and again. They have these lines, they put them out, they're well-liked, they're well-received. It's just a solid company with a solid fan base and a solid continued just cycle of what they do, how they do it. Mad props to them for what they've done. The combination of Kickstarter presence, the retail presence, the lack of FOMO marketing while still building up an established audience. In general, just always, they're a good company. They're a good company. From there, we have Homeworld Fleet Command, the board game. This is coming to you from Modiphius Games, or Modiphius. This is the same people who brought you Skyrim, the board game, which I have somewhere over there. But Homeworld Fleet Command. This is going to be almost a, what's the right word for it? Almost a Memoir 44 style game, which you can be controlling different fleets, trying to have a different lane battling sequence to how the game's going to operate. I'm intrigued. I want to actually play this one to see more about it, but I've always enjoyed. I'm more particularly for me, I think Battle Lore is the one that resonated with me more. But I'm intrigued to actually play this one out and see what they do to differentiate the system and see what they do to make it compelling. But Homeworld Fleet Command from Modiphius Entertainment. Then we have the Elder Scrolls Betrayal. Speaking of Elder Scrolls Skyrim, we have the Elder Scrolls Betrayal: The Second Era from Ship 3 Games. This is over on GameFound. 13,000 people following it so far. This is going to be bringing you Too Many Bones into the Elder Scrolls universe. It's going to have a lot of commonality, a lot of overlap with the way Too Many Bones plays, while also being highly differentiated, and just you can see that alone just by looking at the map over here. This is the grid you're fighting on. So already it's not Too Many Bones. That's not the question. The question is how exactly, where's the degree of overlap, where's the degree of differences? You can see the potential dice dashboards over here and the way you're going to be growing those. So again, lots of room for ways to be the same and lots of ways for room to be different, but it's capturing the general structure of the Too Many Bones gameplay, and it's bringing to you with the Elder Scrolls IP. This is not going to be a cheap one. Just it's going to be. I'm curious to see what it's going to cost for the all-in for all the stuff. It's going to be a game that has a lot of people very excited for it. Elder Scrolls or Chip Theory Games has a very passionate audience. They recently had 20 strong. They did a phenomenal job with that on like a $50 price point of a game, and just tremendously well. Very excited for this one. Very excited for anything that Chip Theory does, but particularly Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. Then we have Forges of Ravenshire. Forges of Ravenshire. This is one that I had a chance to play over at Gen Con, I want to say. I want to say it was Gen Con. Forges of Ravenshire from BA Games. They did, oh my gosh, what's the name? They did a hidden occultist game. I can't remember what it's called. Cultists of the Deep, I think I want to say, BA Games. But Forges of Ravenshire is a 1 to 4 player dice placement game. Had a chance to play this at Gen Con, or briefly play it. Not a full game, but play through a round or two. I really liked what it's doing so far. It seems to give you a lot of opportunities for tableau building, which is the thing I tend to enjoy in these styles of games. It's dice placement, but you're constantly building up your forges, trying to improve what you do and how you do it across a few rounds of play. My only concern is always with these games is will it be too short that I don't feel I had enough time to really truly build up my tableau, and how do they manage and balance that. But what I did see so far, very much enjoyed. Worth keeping an eye on this one. The art was great, the components were great, the gameplay seemed great. Very excited about Forges of Ravenshire. Then we have the Stefan Feld City Collection. This is going to have some form of Kickstarter in, I assume Kickstarter, could be GameFound, but I assume Kickstarter. But this is going to be a Kickstarter in 2023, and it's bringing you the 2 newest games, which are actually still reprints in the Stefan Feld City Collection. Lazla and Bora Bora reimprints. We have Vienna and Cusco reimplementations of previous games. Bora Bora in particular is one that I very much enjoy. Still have that one in my collection, and I'm curious about these 7 and 8 over here. In general, the Stefan Feld City Collection game has been both Loved and hated by many. Loved because they're bringing Stefan Feld games back to print in different ways, and hated because the price points on these things are not cheap at all, and I understand that frustration. You're like, Bruges is finally back in print and I can get it not affordably. I can get it not affordably. Good to know. Bruges is fantastic, by the way. One of my favorite Stefan Feld games, as well as Bora Bora is one of my favorite Stefan Feld games, and Castle of Burgundy, which is not in. What's the deal with Castle of Burgundy? Like, I guess just a license thing. Like, I don't know how this works in terms of the licenses or how that whole system works, but I know Ravensburger is still printing Castle of Burgundy, so I'm guessing we won't see that here. Did they give up the license to Bora Bora and like other Stefan Feld? I don't know. I don't know the behind the scenes of this one. What I do know is if you want to get reprints of, Vienna, Cusco, and then possibly other ones as well, they'll be coming to Kickstarter at some point in 2023. Then we have Gloomhaven, Miniatures of Gloomhaven. This is going to be launching over on BackKit in early 2023, supposedly. This is bringing you Frosthaven and Gloomhaven and Jaws of the Lion miniatures. Lots of stuff. Frosthaven just dropped over here. There's going to be lots of content around that. I'll be playing through the entire Frosthaven on a separate playthrough channel. I'll drop a link to that down below, but if you want to see a full dedicated playthrough content of every single mission of Frosthaven, that will be coming to you across the next year. But that's, again, separate channel for that. But past that, we have Frosthaven, Gloomhaven, and Jaws of the Lion miniatures. For those of you who thought, you know what, that's a big box. Let me see if I can make it bigger. And then again, those of you who have Oathsworn are kind of not that intimidated by this. This is going to be interesting. I'm very intrigued to see how they handle this. I'm very intrigued to see how they track life dials and all those things, how they take this game and make it accessible enough that it's actually worth diving into. For a long time, Cephalophyr said they're not going to do this because they want to keep Gloomhaven to be an accessible game on your table. I think the game has been in the ecosystem enough that at this point, this is clearly a product that some people will choose to buy despite the accessibility limitations in order to improve the table presence. I just mentioned Castle of Burgundy, and same idea. Castle of Burgundy game Awakened Realms ran a campaign for Castle of Burgundy with deluxe miniatures, which absolutely is going to in some way compromise on the accessibility in order to give you a magnificent table presence. And so that balance back and forth, it depends on how they achieve it. I know Foundations of Rome did a tremendous job managing to give you both accessibility and table presence at the same time. I'm curious whether Castle of Burgundy will do it. I'm curious whether Gloomhaven will do it. I'm very intrigued. Either way, it's going to make a lot of money. From there we have Ascendancy. This one I don't know a lot about. When I mentioned earlier in the video, like sometimes it's just like a few words in a picture. This is coming to you, I believe, a first-time creator, Matthew Meeple, the ultimate 4X fantasy board game experience. That's all I got. That's all I got. It looks cool. Miniatures look cool. Art looks intriguing. This is one of those art covers where I'm intrigued by it, but I'm not even sure if I like the art yet. I need like a closer look or different components, but intrigued. 500 followers right now. We'll see. It'll show up at some point in 2023, and we'll talk more about it then. Then we have over on Board Game Geek, we have Carson City, the Big Box. And you're like, that's a 2015 title, Alex. You're right, it is a 2015 title. 2015 title I have in my own collection. But Quinhead Games supposedly is bringing you back the Carson City Big Box back to some crowdfunding platform near you. Very intrigued by it. Carson City is one of my favorite games. I really enjoy this one. It's excellent cutthroat worker placement in which you're going to be placing your workers, but also you can place where somebody else already placed in order to actually fight with them and try to take it from them. Don't worry. They get their meeple back, they can place the next round, they lose the turn, but they don't lose the meeple. So they kind of have to get something later instead of getting it earlier. But it's a great game. It's an amazing experience. I'm very excited to see this coming back to some crowdfunding platform. It's a game that's hard to get your hands on it, and I think people should be able to get their hands on it. Then we have the Shivers Expansions Triple Terror. The Shivers was on Kickstarter, I want to say 2021, but it was basically a flip book of kind of a mystery flip book, kind of pop-up mystery adventure game. So not flip book, a pop-up book. But this coming back to Kickstarter with 3 new expansions, and that's all. I mean, Shivers is interesting. Shivers is one that was on Kickstarter, and then I didn't really hear anything about it since then. I haven't heard a thing about it. I don't remember when it came to retail or when it was delivered. I don't remember anything about it. I just remember it was on Kickstarter, and this is the next time I'm hearing about it. But, if you want a pop-up mystery book expansion, that will be there. We have Thorgal the board game from Portal Games. This is one that was kind of announced a while ago, but we haven't actually seen anything happen with this one. This is from Portal, which already has me interested. This looks a bit like Margot Robbie. Like a drop like Margot Robbie. Am I wrong here? I think it looks a bit like, either way. Thorgal the board game, focusing on another storybook adventure, cooperative storybook adventure for 1 to 4 players, 7 standalone scenarios, books of maps, travel in one group or split up, unique action selection mechanism, character development. By the way, Portal, whoever decided to bold these words, beautiful job. Beautiful job. Just scanning the page, not even reading a thing, and I'm already interested. So whoever chose those words, excellent. Excellent job. Either way, past that, this is Thorgal. I'm intrigued. I'm interested. How replayable is it? Don't know. Is it even good? Don't know. Is it from Portal Games and does it look interesting? Yeah, it is. From there we have Founders. Founders from This Way Games. This Way Games who brought you Ice beforehand. They're bringing you Founders now. That's all I really know. This is going to be more tile laying, I believe. I believe it's tile laying. We have master structures, and rounds, follow directors, each player hit an alliance. Nope, not tile laying. No, tile placement. Tile placement. See, I knew it was tile placement. Tile placement. Each player is in a hidden alliance with 2 other players they don't know. So almost like a cross between Ice and perhaps Veiled Fate, maybe to a degree. Very intrigued by it. This Way Games, the only game I've actually played from them was Ice, which I really enjoyed. And so I'm very interested to see what else gets brought to the table. So, founders, some point in 2023. From there we have Stonesaga. From Ben and McCaskill, this is the same company from Games, out of Our Mind Games, who brought you Stars of Icarios, who brought you Mythwind. They're now coming to the table with Stonesaga, a survival crafting board game set in a unique, persistent world shaped by your choices. I believe it's going to be cooperative, but it's going to be, I believe you do have a lose condition for those who followed Mythwind, where you can actually lose. I believe Stonesaga does have a lose condition, has cool miniatures, has amazing art. We'll find out more. I actually did a full interview with Games about the game a while ago. You can check that out. Just Google like Stonesaga Board Game Co. It's there. But past that, I don't actually know what the actual game will play like. I talked about the game. I know some general high level stuff, but I want to dive into it and actually experience the mechanics of the game. And coming to you 2023 on Kickstarter at some point. Then we have Endeavor Age of Sea. Endeavor Deep Sea, not Endeavor Age of Sea. Endeavor Deep Sea. This is going to be coming to you from Age of Gaming. It says by Age of Gaming, which is interesting. Which makes me intrigued. It looks like almost Burnt Island Games is. This is originally from Burnt Island Games, but I don't actually know what's happening here. By Age of Gaming, but we still have the logos Burnt Island Games and Grand Gamers Guild, so I don't know exactly what's happening here. But we do have Endeavor Deep Sea, the re-implementation of Endeavor Age of Sail. This is going to be giving you the same general high-level gameplay, and I think it's actually, I'm filming this right now, PAX is going to be happening soon, but this is going to be coming to you with the same high-level gameplay while mixing up and changing some aspects of the game, as well as, of course, the theme's going to be different. I'll find out more about this one shortly, because I will be at PAX very shortly, and I believe they'll be demoing this there to some degree, so we'll have more information about Endeavor Deep Sea soon, but in the meantime, you can join 5,400 people on GameFound following this to see more when it actually does come out, or just to get the updates when there are. There eventually will be updates. But moving on from there, we have Soul, The Last Days of a Star, insert and reprint. This is one of those campaigns that actually will be showing up in December. I mentioned December is mostly dead, and mostly dead is true, but mostly dead is not completely dead. We'll have Soul, Last Days of a Star coming to Kickstarter at some point in December. Don't know much about this one actually. Don't know much about the actual gameplay on this one yet. I hope to be covering it. I have a copy, so I should be covering it. So we'll be working on that as soon as possible. But Soul, Last Days of a Star, and that's going to be coming to Kickstarter very shortly. Then we have Set a Watch Forsaken Isles. This is going to be the third game of the series from Rock Manor Games, bringing you more Set a Watch gameplay. Set a Watch is a fantastic solo game. It plays with more than solo, but I think it's best solo, or at least I enjoyed it most solo. Maybe not others, I don't know. But Set a Watch is a survival game. You're going to have a campfire, you're trying to survive, you're trying to engage with the various threats coming your way, managing your economy, choosing who's guarding the watch, which abilities you're using at any given point. It was an excellent puzzle game, really enjoyed it. They had an expansion since then. I think Something Sword was the last expansion, and now they have Forsaken Isles as well. So yeah, that's Set a Watch coming from Rock Manor Games to Kickstarter 2023. Making our way slowly to the end of the list where we have Once Upon a Line, The Butterfly's Breath, from Pert and Fracas in association with Lucky Duck. This is going to be a board game and a solo cooperative game and a post-apocalyptic saga. This is one where there's some degree of like writing and legacy elements in the game as you go through this. I remember seeing the pictures Lucky Duck sent out as far as the general press release, and it looked very compelling. This over here, the art almost looks a little too many bones, a little Chip Theory Games-ish in the art style and presentation, but the game itself looked very cool. The game mechanics looked very cool. No idea what it actually plays like. Hopefully I'll be covering it at some point, which means I'll be able to talk more about it. As of right now, Once Upon a Line just has me very intrigued. More than that, we'll find out as it comes closer to the actual project launch. Then over on GameFound, we have one that I believe this is launching in January, Batman Escape from Arkham Asylum by Night Games. This is Night Games. Night Games in general, I think they did the Harry Potter game. I think it's the only thing they've really done so far. They're a miniatures line as far as what they do in general. They haven't had a lot of games, but this one looks very intriguing. Batman Escape from Arkham Asylum, intriguing is here. The general concept is you're trying to be the various characters escape from Arkham Asylum. The miniatures look amazing, which are not over here. Where are the miniatures? Let's go to the updates. Updates, they're all in the updates. They were incredible looking miniatures. Gameplay, I don't know enough of the gameplay yet. Over here we have just look at these miniatures. Although they look better painted, which is not really a surprise. Let's see if we can scroll into it. I want to see if we actually have, there we go. That actually looks pretty solid as is. And we have the next update. So if we go back one, we can go to the URL over here, hit 1 on the updates and scroll down, and there we go. Yeah, miniatures look fine overall. I don't like, the one thing I didn't love over there, just looking at the project page, is I don't like the idea that the way they're colored makes them look a little less fun over here. But we'll see. Either way, you can either paint them, spray paint them, gray if you want. I don't know. We'll find out. But overall, Night Models makes great miniatures. The game of this one, no idea. Length 90 to 150. That could be pushing it a bit depending on the style of game. I'm definitely intrigued, but I need to find out a lot more about it. Then from there we have From there we have Townsfolk Tussle. Townsfolk Tussle is going to be coming back to Kickstarter, I believe Kickstarter, maybe GameFound, but I believe Kickstarter, with a reprint campaign bringing you Townsfolk Tussle, as well as, I want to say, 3 expansions coming to the table. This one's currently a 7.8 on Board Game Geek. It's going to be continuing to climb as the accessibility of the game becomes wider, as people get their hands in the game, but generally well rated, bringing you a boss battler with a very, there's a style to the artwork, I can't remember what it's called, but a boss battler with a very fun theme, making it very accessible in terms of what it's doing. It was a little long, the gameplay runs a little long. One of the complaints about it has been that it, four boss battles makes it feel a little too long for a single shot experience. I believe there are tweaks to make it 3 boss battles, or maybe that's official thing. I don't remember if it's an official thing or unofficial thing, but there are ways to tweak the experience to make it a little bit shorter and a little bit easier to have the full Townsfolk Tussle experience, but without it being a 3-hour long game. But very solid game, very, very enjoyable, highly recommend it. That's Townsfolk Tussle. Then we have Ascension Tactics Inferno. This is going to be bringing you the Ascension Tactics, the deck building skirmish game from Stoneblade Entertainment. Got rave reviews the first time around. Very excited to see how this is going to do in general. This is one that I was fairly dismissive of the first time I played it. The first time I saw the first Kickstarter, I was like, hey, it looks good, but I don't know if it looks amazing. I don't know if it's worth it, and the price point was definitely expensive. But overall, people have liked the game. People have enjoyed the game, have wanted to get their hands on all the deluxe stuff, the miniatures and all those things. So this is one where, in terms of games I was wrong about, this one definitely goes into the category of games I was wrong about. I'll not say the price point. The price point was expensive, but in terms of just it was incredibly well received. A lot of people like this one, and I definitely want to get my hands on this and try this one. We have 2 left. We have Fauna, the animal trivia game from Friedman Feast, brought to you by Rathskellers. Rathskellers makes board games, apparently. I didn't know that was a thing, but Fauna is a trivia game, a party trivia game that then spawned the offshoot Terra and America. Terra and America brought you 2 different party games, all in the same general line of trivia questions in which you pegged your bet based on how other players were doing. So it's a degree almost like Wits and Wagers. It's not necessarily about knowing the most, it's about having a good sense of who knows the most, what sounds accurate, and trying to combine knowledge with a degree of strategic play to give you a trivia game that's accessible to those who don't necessarily know every little piece of trivia. And Fauna's a great game. I played it way back in the day. It's one that I'm very excited to see being reprinted. Curious to see the general, again, I'm curious to see Rathskellers. Rathskellers getting into board games. I mean, I guess they saw the whole board game tables thing and was like, you know what? We can make more than board game tables. We can make board games. And then lastly, we have Spiritfire. Spiritfire from ONEB, from Orange Nebula. This is one we don't have a ton of information about. They've been very shy about dropping tidbits of information here and there. But Spiritfire is their magnum opus. I think that's the correct term, I believe. It's their magnum opus. It's the thing that they really believe in as the reason why they have ONEB. The reason why they create games is all for what Spiritfire is going to do, all for what it's going to bring to your table. Past that, can't really go into it. We'll talk more about it as we know more. But Spiritfire, I know they believe in it incredibly. I know that Orange Nebula as a company is one of only 2 companies. I think there's only 2 companies that have like a perfect track record. It's ONEB with Vindication and Unsettled, both 5 out of 5s, and then Fantasia Games with Unsettled and not Unsettled with Endless Winter and Unconscious Mind, both 5 out of 5s. Those are the only 2 companies that have a perfect track record as far as the games they put out and just how much I love every single one of them. Granted, 2 games apiece. It's always easier the fewer games you have, but time will tell on this one. I'm definitely very excited for Spiritfire. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a wraps. As usual, a reminder to go ahead and subscribe to Shelf Clutter to actually find out what games are coming out throughout the month, because right now, there's just not a lot of information. There's Soul, Last Days of a Star, and then a handful of smaller campaigns. There's just not a lot of things coming in December at the moment. It's a light month. It generally is a light month. I'm sure there will be things that pop up, but that's where Shelf Clutter comes in. He'll get to update you as those happen. Or, of course, every Monday I'll be talking about whatever games are on Kickstarter, as long as there are games to talk about on, well, GameFound, Kickstarter, Backkit, all that. As long as there are games to talk about, I'll be here every Monday. Otherwise, we'll have other videos to talk about instead. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and I hope you have a good one.